Have you ever wondered why the US has Democrats and Republicans? It wasn't always this way. In fact, the founding fathers, like George Washington, actually warned against political parties. They were afraid parties would divide the nation. But almost immediately, two factions emerged. The Federalists, led by Alexander Hamilton, who wanted a strong central government, and the Democratic Republicans, led by Thomas Jefferson and James Madison, who championed states' rights and a more agrarian society. This first party system set the stage for a recurring theme in American politics: the battle over the size and scope of the federal government. The Federalists eventually faded away after the War of 1812, leading to a brief period known as the Era of Good Feelings, where the Democratic Republicans were the only major party. But good feelings don't last forever in politics, do they? By the 1820s, the Democratic Republicans had fractured. A new, charismatic figure, Andrew Jackson, rose to prominence. His supporters formed the modern Democratic Party, emphasizing the power of the common man and expanding voting rights for white men. Those who opposed Jackson and his king-like presidency rallied together to form the Whig Party. Think of them as the spiritual successors to the Federalists, favoring economic modernization, banks, and infrastructure projects. So now we had Democrats versus Whigs. This was the second party system. But a huge, unavoidable issue was looming over the nation: slavery. The question of whether new territories would be free or slave states tore both the Democrats and the Whigs apart. The Whig Party completely disintegrated over the issue. In its place, a new party emerged in the 1850s, founded on the principle of stopping the expansion of slavery. This was the Republican Party, and its first successful presidential candidate? A guy named Abraham Lincoln. The election of Lincoln in 1860 triggered the Civil War. After the war, the Republicans, the party of Lincoln and emancipation, dominated national politics for decades. The Democrats became the party of the South, largely opposed to the Republicans' Reconstruction efforts. This period, from the Civil War to the Great Depression, is often called the third party system. It was a time of intense political rivalries, industrial growth, and rising inequality. Everything changed in the 1930s. The Great Depression hit, and President Herbert Hoover, a Republican, was seen as unable to handle the crisis. In 1932, Franklin D. Roosevelt, a Democrat, swept into office with his promise of a New Deal. This marked a massive shift. The Democratic Party built a powerful coalition of urban workers, farmers, immigrants, and African Americans who began to leave the Republican Party in large numbers. The New Deal expanded the federal government's role in the economy and society in an unprecedented way. For the first time, Democrats were seen as the party of big government, and Republicans as the party of limited government and free markets. This New Deal coalition dominated American politics for the next several decades. But another major realignment was on the horizon, this time centered on civil rights. In the 1960s, Democratic President Lyndon B. Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act. While a landmark achievement for justice, it alienated many white Southern voters who had been a core part of the Democratic base for a century. Seeing an opportunity, the Republican Party, under figures like Richard Nixon and later Ronald Reagan, began to appeal to these voters with a Southern strategy. They combined this with a message of fiscal conservatism, lower taxes, and a strong national defense. This created the political landscape we're mostly familiar with today. The Republican Party became a coalition of social conservatives, fiscal conservatives, and business interests. The Democratic Party became the home for liberals, progressives, labor unions, and minority groups. Since the 1980s, we've seen these two parties become more ideologically distinct and polarized. The Solid South is now reliably Republican in presidential elections, while the Northeast and West Coast are Democratic strongholds. Third parties like the Libertarians or the Greens have popped up, but the two-party system has remained incredibly resilient. So, from the Federalists and Democratic Republicans arguing over the nation's future, to the Democrats and Republicans of today debating similar themes of government power and individual liberty, the story of America's political parties is the story of the country itself. It's a continuous cycle of debate, division, and realignment. Understanding this history helps us understand why our politics are the way they are today. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this interesting, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into history and politics. See you next time.